don't go with just the notion that, okay, this is a limited one, this is a small one, I'll go through this. This integrated approach is not only going to save your time, it is also helps you in better understanding the syllabus and better prepare for the UPSC exam. NCERTs are the most common, so most basic resources one has to follow for every subject. If you go through the question paper of PYQ, you will be able to come to a conclusion. This is going to be very, very helpful for you. So by covering the entire current affairs in a comprehensive manner. While preparing the same topics, you have to see from the ethical angle, you have to see from the administrative angle. Okay, so the benefit which you are going to get from PYQ analysis is much more than any other support which you can get in this preparation. Hello everyone, my name is Rajesh. I welcome all of you to this second video for strategy for preparing for civil services, specifically targeting our working professionals. So before this we had actually done another video, so where I had discussed about the advantages and disadvantages of a working professional, particularly who is targeting civil services, and what is the overall broader strategy, and so what are the myths, and so even in fact we also had a discussion on what is the general pattern of this examination. So those who are watching this video first, so I would strongly suggest go back to that video and see that and then come here. Okay, so in this video, so we are going to talk about the working plan for this preparation. So keeping in mind our working professionals, those who are having a regular job, and those who are also having like so consultancy and like on and off work schedule. So considering that you are not available for the entire period, okay, so that is the basic idea. Fine, so let's begin. So the basic working plan here, it is the broader strategy of preparation, what are the sources and how to approach these sources, and so what is the way of so the integration of these different sources. Okay, that is the basic idea. And so of course I'm not going to give you the exact list of books which you'll have to prepare, because so that is too variable depending upon the nature of the student and depending upon the preparation level. So I'm not going to go into the specifications, but I'm going to talk about the exact the important things which you have to remember while talking about the sources and making a broad plan. Fine. So before we move on, so I'd like to touch upon few of the general points which are very much necessary to consider when we talk about the sources and the general strategy. The first thing regarding the sources, your resources, whatever the textbooks and material which you are going to follow, has to be very limited in number. Okay, so of course this is very easy, so simple. Why we are going for limited sources? Because you have a limited time. So with the limited time, you don't have the luxury of going through every different source and do a thorough detailed study. So because if you start doing, so in UPSC we have such large number of resources, so even 5 years would not be sufficient to go through all the resources, right? So it is very much necessary that you make a list of limited resources which is very much required for your preparation, and that resource has to be concise. It has to be so very effective, and you don't have any scope for making mistakes here. Okay, so that is the basic idea of having a limited resources. So and so for this you have to be very sure. So it's not very easy to so come to this conclusion what is required, what is not required, and but the basic agenda here it is to save time. At the same time, we cannot compromise on the content, right? So in the name of so saving time and saving resources, if at all you are not able to read and understand the basic content itself, there's no point in that. So considering both the aspect, you need to very much necessary that you have to maintain a balance. Your material has to be concise. Okay, so given a chance, a particular subject, particular topic may have both the type of material. I'd like to take one example. For example, modern Indian history. So two commonly referred resources here is, one is the Bipin Chandra modern history book, okay, which is little bit bulky. Second is the so-called Spectrum book, okay, the Spectrum publications book. So which is little bit considered to be a little bit more concise. So first you have to consider what type of student you are. You are a one who is so who want to go in a flow and study. So for you may take lesser time to go through Bipin Chandra, right? So at the same time, like if at all you are a student who is ready to understand, ready to grasp the information, where everything is given in a pointed and bullet form, so in that case, spectrum becomes an important source for you. In both the cases, you have to consider the factor of time, and in a short period of time, which one you are going to read it faster and which one you are going to understand better. So that will become your concise material here. Don't go with just the notion that, okay, this is a limited one, this is a small one, I'll go through this. So many of the times a small book will have more information, and some of the students take a longer period of time to assimilate. Okay, so in the same place, if you read a slightly bigger and bulkier book, and because of the flow of understanding, you may feel it better. Okay, so that you have to understand by going through the different so the strategy videos, and where you discuss about, where some of the previous toppers would have discussed about which material suited them and why it suited them. Based on that, you have to make a list. Okay, so or you may talk to your mentors, and you may talk to the faculties who are teaching you if at all you are taking a class. Based on that, you come to a conclusion. And of course, here the concise material, most important concise material will be your classroom notes if at all you are taking coaching. Okay, so if at all you are attending classes, you are taking coaching. So this classroom material, the classroom notes is going to be the most concise material, which will be the most primary reference for you. Having this concise material is very much important. And in some cases, you may not have that concise material. Okay, so some of the topics, for example, let's say security. Okay, so security in GS3 is one of the topic where it is said that there is no a single textbook which covers every aspect. Okay, so in that case, maybe if at all you get any of your any of the toppers notes or any of the classroom notes which is ready to refer and covers everything in a crisp manner, that will be your material here. The third thing which you have to keep in mind, whatever the sources we refer, it has to go through an integrated approach. You cannot keep the sources separate for prelims, separate for mains. Okay, so you cannot keep the sources, okay, so this is, let's say, so for geography in GS1, I am going to refer this. For agriculture and a few other geography related topics in GS3, I'm going to refer something different source. No, there is a requirement of integrated approach. This integrated approach is not only going to save your time, it is also helps you in better understanding the syllabus and better prepare for the UPSC exam. Okay, so the integrated approach is going to be very much necessary. I'm going to discuss about this in a little bit detailed manner later. So another important factor which we have to remember here, it is that you cannot take risk by doing experiments. A fresher who is just coming into the preparation, leaving everything, or so let's say who is just a graduate, may have this luxury. Okay, so or those who are like having 2 years of time, so we may think that okay, so let me just try reading this once. Okay, so let me just go through this once. Then based on that, how it is going to see. So then I'm going to go in detail here. You cannot do that. First, plan for it. The planning is very much required here. If you have a clear planning, clear strategy, okay, so this is geography subject. This is how the questions have come. Okay, so this is how the PYQ shows the overall weightage and the nature of questions. And for this, usually referred material are so and so. Okay, so shortlist, plan for this, and then you start your preparation. Okay, so and for this, the best, so the way of approaching is going through the previous toppers videos and taking, so the support from your mentors or faculties, whoever is guiding you. And without that, if at all you're like spreading out your entire preparation, okay, मैं करके देखता हूँ. So again, it is too risky for you because you have a shortage of time. You have a shortage of energy also. Keep that in mind. One more important factor which we have to remember is optional. You cannot make your optional weight. Okay, this is one of the common mistakes our working professional do. So they will think, okay, first I will complete GS. Okay, so since I have shortage of time, let me focus only on GS now. Maybe after prelims, I'll focus more on optional. Totally no. If at all you are targeting 2027, okay, so and you are starting your preparation right now. Okay, so start both GS and optional parallelly. You may get less time. Okay, fine. Okay, so but specific time of your day or specific time of the week, you have to dedicate it for optional. It has to go parallel. It cannot wait. And optional itself is a huge, entire preparation section itself is a huge area which cannot wait till the end. Okay, so don't make a mistake at all here. It has to go parallelly. Okay, so again, we'll discuss in detail later in one of the subsequent videos. Talking about the resource base. Okay, so I'd like to touch upon few of the basic ideas or basic approaches when it comes to resources. Okay, so all of us know that NCRTs are the most common, so most basic resources one has to follow for every subject. Okay, so all general study subjects from GS1, GS2, GS3 requires the understanding of NCRT. Usually it is said that one has to go through 6 to 10 standard, 6 to 12 standard NCRT for that matter. Okay, so to have a thorough idea of any subject. Then you have to enter into, let's say, a textbook. Okay, so let's say, for example, if I'm talking about polity as a subject. Okay, so usually we say, so one who is starting completely fresh, I would say, so start from 6th standard, go up to 12th standard political science, and then you pick up any of the standard textbook like Lakshmikant or DD Basu or let's say Subhash Kashyap, depending upon your comfort. So that gives you a holistic approach. That is not applicable for you. You have to go through NCRTs, definitely yes. Depending upon your level, you choose from which standard you want to start. Let's say I'm talking about geography. Okay, so for a person who is little bit comfortable with geography, I would say, okay, you don't have to start from 6th standard. You can directly start from 11th and 12th. Okay, so start from 11th and 12th. 11th and 12th, you cannot miss. You have to go through it. Once you start reading 11th and 12th standard, if at all you are finding it a little bit difficult, then you pick up the earlier ones. Let's say physical geography, geomorphology, you are reading few of the chapters in 11th standard NCRT. If you are finding it difficult, go back to those NCRTs where these units are discussed. Okay, so let's say 7th standard or 8th standard, in few of the units, they will discuss some basic aspects. Then you go back there. Otherwise, if you are finding it comfort, you are going in flow, you don't have to go back and refer it over there. Okay, so this is how you are going to plan. Okay, so but NCRT is must. Within that, do you have to read all the NCRTs? That depends upon your level of preparation. If you are able to understand, if you are able to go through it, stick to those NCRTs which are must. Okay, so that is the first thing. Second, for every subject, there is going to be a standard textbook. Few of them at least. Okay, so few of them don't have. In that, again, you have to decide whether you have to go through it or not. Okay, so how will you decide? Based on PYQ, of course. Based on PYQs, based on whether your status of preparation, whether you're taking coaching or not, okay, or whether you're already had done some basic study and then you're doing a thorough study. So all of these factors will decide whether you have to go. Okay, again, I would like to take the subject of geography as an example. In geography, if at all you are covering 11th and 12th standard NCRTs thoroughly, and you have any proper notes, you don't need any other textbook. If you go through the question paper of PYQ, you will be able to come to a conclusion. You don't need any other textbook. It may cover extra material. Okay, so I would definitely say to all my students in my class that if at all you have covered NCRTs and GC Leong and my class notes, it would be more than sufficient. Plus, if you have covered current affairs. Okay, so you would not require. So decide based on the subject. Okay, so for example, another example is, let's say, polity. You have studied the, let's say, 10th standard or 11th standard polity, which covers the basic idea of Indian polity and constitution. Okay, so which has a broad idea. And based on that, now let's say you are picking up Lakshmikant and reading. So that would complement and that would be sufficient. Okay, so that could cover most of the things related to the Indian polity. Or if you have a class notes here, which is completely thorough, you would not need that also. Decide based on your comfort, your requirement. Okay, so it's not necessary that you have to go through every subject and every standard textbook required here. In some of the areas, you would not have any of the source. You don't have a NCRT also, you don't have a, let's say, a standard textbook also. For example, disaster management. Okay, so there is one NCRT, very old NCRT, which is not very much updated, and that doesn't cover what is required for disaster management. It's just a basic idea. And there is no standard textbook for disaster management. In that case, if you find any of this material, coaching material or any of the material from your senior, okay, so please try to collect it and please try to read it. Refer, take opinion from one or two aspirants who have already prepared, already cleared, or those who have given one or two attempts already, and take their advice and then go through that. And don't go for the best source here. You will never get anything called as best source in UPSC. Always keep that in mind. Anything which is simple and compiling completely all the different topics, that is sufficient. Start reading it. If you read it in a best manner, that would be sufficient. You don't have to go for a best source available here. But one such ready notes material, if it is there, it will save your lot of time. Okay, so many of the students make a mistake here. They try to skim through multiple different sources and then they come to a conclusion, okay, so this is a better, I'm going to go through this. Then if they find issue over there, then they try to make their own notes. Avoid doing those mistakes. You should beg, borrow, steal here to, if at all you have some knowledge, okay, so वहाँ पर कुछ material है वो अच्छा लग रहा है, so सुना है इसके ऊपर मतलब बहुत अच्छा review है, चलो उसके ऊपर मतलब somehow let's try to get my hands on this. Okay, so from any sources possible. Another important material which is very much required, which is a large section for general studies, it is current affairs. Okay, so for current affairs there are two basic sources. One is newspaper. Another is any monthly compilation. Both are necessary for you. Newspaper, you don't have to go in detail because of the scarcity of time, of course. Okay, so many of the other students, they may go through the newspaper in detail, make a proper notes. Unless you are very, very good in making notes and you don't take more than 1 hour in a day to make notes and read newspaper together, don't make notes. Okay, this is advice only for working professional. If at all you are taking more than 1 hour to read a newspaper and make notes, daily just focus on reading the newspaper. Read the newspaper, read the editorial article, there is no alternative for that. That you have to plan according to your schedule. Maybe while commuting you will open the newspaper and see. So let's say you are going in metro and you're just opening the newspaper and going through this. Let's say you have lunch hour, 1 hour of lunch hour is there, you finish your lunch in 20 minutes. Okay, so next half an hour or 40 minutes you go through the newspaper. Okay, so like this, that you have to squeeze in, but newspaper is must. Rather than making notes out of this, go through any of the monthly compilation. For example, Vision IAS monthly compilation. So one of the well known in the preparation field. Okay, so there the entire month's current affairs is thoroughly covered, and keep it as a separate source, separate so subject itself, and try to cover every month then only. Don't pile up and cover it by the end of the year. That becomes another different headache, and second thing is you will not be able to comprehend everything over there. Try to cover it in every month. Okay, so let's say, this is, let's say December, November month, as soon as it comes, you finish it off. You keep it target of, let's say, so 1 week or 10 days, within that it should be done. Or you want to give, let's say every day you want to study for, let's say half an hour specifically for current affairs monthly magazine, that is also fine. But it should be done before the next magazine comes. Fine. And this is going to be very, very helpful for you. So by covering the entire current affairs in a comprehensive manner. If you covered the entire 12 months of, or 12 to 14 months of current affairs, let's say for 2027, okay, so you should have the current affairs from Jan 2026 till, let's say, so April 2027. Okay, that entire current affairs, if you have covered through every month, so that is going to be more than sufficient. Again, here also you may hear about multiple different sources. Okay, so this is better, that is better, this has more number of questions coming. Okay, all of this, nothing matters. So what you have studied in a thorough manner, how many times you have revised, that is going to be the most important thing. Okay, so कोई भी material यहाँ पर perfectly नहीं बनता है. So कोई भी material उठा के आप उसको perfectly पढ़ना पड़ता है. मतलब अच्छे तरीके से, okay, 100% effort से पढ़ना पड़ता है. That is going to be the best source for you. Okay, so pick up any monthly magazine which you find it comfortable for you and cover it thoroughly. Last, please make your optional resources also very much concise. In case of optional, usually, so every optional you will have to go through multiple different textbooks. Okay, so I can speak for geography optional. Okay, so for geography optional, each unit has a separate textbook itself. For geomorphology, separate textbook, climatology, separate, oceanography, like that. You may not have that luxury. Okay, so try always to go for ready notes in case of optional. Or if you're taking class, again, focus only on the class notes first. That is your first level of preparation. Okay, so only when you have covered the entire syllabus using such kind of notes or classroom material, then you go for, so textbooks. Doesn't mean that you should not refer textbook. Whenever you are getting doubt in between, selectively pick up those topics from the textbook and refer it. That is there, but you don't have to go from end to end covering every different textbook for optional. That is not possible. Once you have covered GS altogether, once you have covered optional altogether, when you are going through revisions, maybe then you can go through them when you have a better idea. That will make your optional reading also much faster. Okay, so we'll talk about the optional in detail later. So in one of the subsequent videos. So this is the basic idea regarding sources. As I told you earlier, I'm not going to suggest anything specific source here. Okay, so you have to decide what is suitable for you. There are a lot of strategy videos. Okay, so for example, if you search geography strategy video from Vision IAS, I have taken in detail what are the important textbooks for geography strategy. Okay, so geography preparation के लिए क्या क्या चाहिए, prelims mains combine होके क्या क्या होना चाहिए, ऐसे आपको मिल जाएगा. Referring that, make a compilation, make a list of this, and you choose according to your comfort, according to your preparation level. Then you will have your own list of textbooks. This why I am saying, because if at all, even if you see any of our toppers videos also, they will give you the list of reference material which they chose, which they refer to, and no two toppers will have the same list of books. If you have 1,000 toppers, 1,000 people who have cleared this exam, they will have 1,000 different combinations of reference books. Okay, so keep that in mind. That is why you have to make your own resource list. But while making that, keep these points in your mind. And all these resources go into 3 different categories. The first category is going to be the essential resources. Okay, so essential is something which is must read. This is part of your core preparation. Every subject will have essential resource. For example, for geography, 11th and 12th standard NCERT plus GC Lyon and class notes. If you have this much, you would not need anything else for repetitive study. You may need something in between. Okay, so that is a different thing. This would cover everything of geography. Okay, so prelims, mains, as well as interview, every part of your preparation. Like this, there is one particular essential source, which you are going to read it multiple times, which you are going to revise it multiple times. Then comes second type of resources, which are reference book only. Okay, so just for reference, you are going to use it. You are not going to repeatedly see it again. Whenever you have a doubt, maybe you can go back and see it. Okay, so for example, in the same geography, so we have certain annual reports. Okay, so some annual reports. So for example, the State of the Forest report or Ministry of Environmental report. Okay, so and so let's say, so in polity, we can say ARC report. Okay, so those are the one which will have detailed understanding. If at all you need something, then only you will go and refer. Okay, so or for example, let's say, so in polity, you have D.D. Basu or Lakshmikant. If at all you have class notes and NCERTs as a base, that is what you are going to revise in multiple times. If at all you have a doubt, then you go to the textbook. Okay, so you go to a specific textbook and see. Okay, so in case of, let's say, in economic, if you have any standard textbook, which you will keep it as a reference, you will refer whenever you want. Third type of reference, third type of resources are those which are disposable. You will just read it and dispose it off. You will extract the information which is required, and then you are not going to read it again. For example, daily newspapers, you don't need it again. So like this, so now and then, once in a while, you keep finding, okay, so some kind of material, some kind of article, some kind of news material, or maybe even some of the online videos, discussion videos, etc. They are all just one-time reading. Once you read, everything goes into your mind. Or maybe a short note is there, you add it to your essential source and it is done. Okay, so on daily basis, you may have to go through this. But finally, what you are preparing is a list of essential resources which you are going to revise it multiple times in multiple cycles. This, as long as this is going to be stronger, your preparation is going to be stronger. Okay, so your entire preparation should focus on making these essential sources integrated, clear, and simple. So that is regarding the resource base. Now, talking about the resources, when you go through the resources, there's very much important that you need to follow integrated approach. When I say integrated approach, not preparing in silos. Okay, so not separating any of your preparation as such. Okay, so always keep in mind, you are not preparing for geography, you're not preparing for history, you're not preparing for polity, rather you are preparing for civil services. The idea of preparation is to clear the civil services. In civil services, UPSC is expecting, okay, as a part of general studies, you should have some general awareness. They are not expecting a geography expert or history expert or polity expert here. Okay, they're not expecting, okay, so the one who is very good with MCQ and who is very bad with answer writing, okay, let's give him some marks, okay, so he's very good in with MCQ. UPSC is not at all expecting any specific category of aspirants. They want a person whose preparation is integrated and holistic. And that I am going to discuss in different aspects. The first one is integration, which is required in all 3 stages. So we have 3 stages. So that is prelims, mains as well as personality test. Even though mains written and personality test, they are part of the same main strategy. So by stage wise, if you go, we have the 3 stages: prelims, main and personality test, main written. Every subject, every topic has to be integrated in all the 3 manner. Okay, so for example, let me take a example of, let's say, climate change from the topic of environment. So when I study the topic of climate change, I'm not going to think, okay, this is required for prelims, I'm going to remember this much. This is required for mains, okay, so I'll read it later. Okay, so interview में question कैसे आ सकते हैं वो बाद में सोचता हूँ जब interview का आएगा. नहीं, I want to understand, okay, what is climate change? What are the causes of climate change? What are the impacts of climate change? What are the measures taken to deal with the climate change? Okay, if I go through this topic in a thorough manner, keeping all 3 stages in my mind, the information which is required for prelims, I can extract it whenever it is required. And if at all I have to write an answer based on this, then also I will be able to make a better answer for mains. If at all somebody is asking your opinion, okay, what do you think about climate change? Can we really stop it? Or is this really true that climate change is happening? So based on this holistic idea, I'll be able to answer. When you try to separate this entire preparation separately, first of all, you will give a lot of time. There are a lot of repetitions. Second, the approach itself is very, very much difficult. Okay, so the approach itself is wrong, I can say, because you will not be able to understand a concept holistically. Okay, so UPSC is not expecting you to understand climate change from prelims or climate change from mains. UPSC is expecting you to understand what is climate change. If you know the basic idea in a comprehensive manner, you'll be able to go through this. That is integrating in all 3 stages. Second type of integration is required in different subjects also. This is again very much required if you want to save time. If you go through the syllabus thoroughly, so different general study subjects have very much commonalities. Okay, so let's say for example, in general GS1, okay, that is paper 2 of mains. In GS1, we have the topics of geography, where we discuss not only about the geography of the world, there's geography of India, there's economic aspects, there's let's say social aspects also. Right? In the social aspects, there is a topic of urbanization. Okay, so there is a topic of population, migration, all of these are there. In the same paper, in society also, the same topics will come. While preparing, before you prepare, you need to understand, okay, so what are the overlapping areas between the different subjects? There use common source, so that you don't have to do a repetition over there. And second, it is very good in interlinking. Your answers also required to be written in that manner only. Okay, so when you write an answer in UPSC paper, UPSC is not asking, okay, so write it from geography perspective or write it from social perspective. No. The question is question. You may think, therefore you have to write both geography as well as social perspective if the topic is overlapping. Getting the point? So you cannot separate that. That integration is required. Okay, another example, governance. Governance as such is your GS2. GS2 mein aata hai. But there is also governance topics in your ethics. There is a necessity to integrate both GS2 as well as ethics while preparing. While preparing the same topics, you have to see from the ethical angle, you have to see from the administrative angle. Okay, so there is no separation here. Like this, try to go through the syllabus. If you're thorough with the syllabus, you'll be able to identify these overlapping area and develop a common source and develop an integrated approach. Okay, another example is agriculture. In geography paper 1 also you need agriculture. In GS3 also you need agriculture. GS1 geography, agriculture, GS3 also there is agriculture. Questions come in both. Keep a common source. Avoid repetitions, save time. Integration with current affairs is again very much important here. Okay, so any subject, when you're studying some particular topic from a textbook or a notes material, try to see how it is linked to the day-to-day events. Okay, so that integration is very much required. For example, let's say, so you're talking about the cyclones. We're studying about the let's say the conditions required for the formation of cyclones, regions across the world impacted by cyclones. At the same time, parallelly try to see, okay, so what are the recent news related to cyclones? Okay, use technology, use, so internet search engine or AI engine, recent issues related to the cyclone, just search. You'll be able to correlate over there. Rather than reading about cyclones when it comes in the news later, try to see whatever the current affairs topics which you're studying, immediately try to see what are the current related issues. Right? What are the recent cyclones? Okay, so how cyclones are changing their behavior in the recent times. That is linking every static topic with the current affairs. That if you do it from the beginning itself, you are going to again save a lot of time and your preparation is going to be better. Second, interlinking with optional is also very much required. If at all your optional has some common subjects related to the GS, please don't repetitively prepare here. I have told multiple times to our students, if at all, let's say you are a geography optional student and you are studying GS, you can skip geography GS. In fact, if you're a geography optional student, you can skip geography GS, environment GS, disaster management also. I'm saying skipping only the material. You don't have to read a separate material over there, but you have to practice. Because the optional answer writing is different, GS answer writing is different. Answer writing is required here, but the content is same. दिमाग में जितना गया है वो काफी है ना? So don't avoid that. Don't do that repetition. Avoid repetition. Right? Connect your optional with GS. Or if you're, let's say you have political science as a optional, you have a lot of overlapping area in GS too. Okay, see those overlapping area and identify those areas which are not there in the optional. Then only you prepare only that. Right? So integrated approach is the most important aspect here. The last part, PYQ. Okay, so we have gone through the sources, we have gone through the idea of integration approach. In both the cases, a very much required direction is provided by our PYQs. The previous year's question paper. A minimum of last 10 years of prelims as well as mains analysis is required, and this you have to do it in the beginning itself, before you start your preparation of a particular subject. Don't make a mistake of going through the PYQs once you complete the subject. Many times you will see that, so मुझे ये पढ़ना ही नहीं था, ये unnecessarily मैंने बहुत टाइम स्पेंड कर दिया, मुझे इस सोर्स से पढ़ना ही नहीं था क्योंकि इसमें क्वेश्चन ही नहीं आया. ये सारा आपको बाद में रियलाइज नहीं होना चाहिए. When you make the strategy for each subject, when you make a list of sources for each subject, before that only you have to go through at least minimum 10 years of prelims as well as mains. You may think, okay, so मुझे syllabus ही पता नहीं है, so मुझे subject ही पता नहीं है, what is the use of this? First go through the syllabus. Go through what are the topics which are there. At least understand the content list. Okay, so खाली content list को समझ लो कौन कौन से topic है. Go through the PYQ. Don't try to answer it. You don't have to answer this, but at least try to remember the questions. In what way the questions have been asked. Okay, so what is the nature? Whether it is current related or static nature. ये तो समझ सकते हो. You don't need to have a subject knowledge here. Okay, so and what is it? Whether it is analytical or factual. If you try to understand the questions and their nature, you will prepare your sources accordingly. You will go through you will study the subject accordingly. It saves a lot of time for you, and it will also give you the actual direction which is required for UPSC. Okay, so PYQ is like a proper guide for you. आप जितना भी मेहनत कर लो, जितना भी पैसा खर्चा करके mentorship ले लो या classroom ले लो, PYQ आपको करना ही है. PYQ analysis से जितना आपको मतलब वो फायदा होगा, कोई भी दूसरी support से वो उतना फायदा नहीं होगा. Okay, so the benefit which you are going to get from PYQ analysis is much more than any other support which you can get in this preparation. It will save your time. It will give you a proper direction in terms of sources to be followed, in terms of approach to be followed, in terms of the way of understanding, in terms of answer writing. सब कुछ वो proper guide जैसे आपको काम करते हैं. Particularly आप working professional हो तो आपके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है do the PYQ analysis thoroughly before you start studying the subject itself. And while doing the subject also, while doing the study also, after completing every unit, you have to sit and solve the PYQs. Let's say you are studying geography and in that you have completed geomorphology. End of geomorphology, you sit and solve all the geomorphology related questions, both prelims as well as mains. If you are able to solve all of them, that means wonderful job, you have done well. If you are not able to do, try to analyze where you have done mistake. Okay, so कहाँ पर गलती हुआ है, whether in understanding the concept or in the source itself. You're not able to maybe connect, you know the concept but you're not able to write it down, then you need more answer writing. So it is like a regular check, and इसके लिए तो आप use कर सकते हो Visualize का भी so है Sandan, if at all you have heard about Sandan portal, so where you get so PYQ questions as well as so mock questions for practicing, है ना. तो वहाँ पर तो मिल ही जाएगा, या PYQ related अलग test series भी है ना, so वो भी आप use कर सकते हो. But PYQ analysis is must. There is no replacement here. Okay, so this is about today's. So majorly we have discussed the overall resources required for the examination, and I'm assuming that you know the basic idea of examination. What are the different stages? I have discussed this in the first part. Okay, so after this I'm coming to the second part where we have discussed the basic resources, and what is the strategy while selecting the resources, and what should be the focus area and approach over there, and basically about the integration which is required for your preparation. Okay, so on the last aspect is PYQ analysis, which is must, you cannot skip it. So this is all my from my end for today's video. And in the subsequent video, I'd like to touch upon more other aspects like time management, and so let's say current affairs integration and practicing, and even optional. Okay, so further we'll discuss that later. So if you have any other doubts related to what we have discussed till here, so you can so let me know through this communication means. Fine. So I wish you all the best. Thank you.